Lighting should be okay here. This is my status. Doing a couple things here. It's shrunk down enough that I can start doing like the handle wrap just to keep everything nice and tidy, because this is going to be an inside bend and I don't want it to pull away there. Plus, it looks cool. And how I'm doing it is I've got the same baggie that I used to Sinew back, and it's got a little bit of coffee in there to give it a little color. Why not? Couldn't find my natural dyes in this rat's nest of a garage, so coffee will work. And this will stay gelled. Viscosity, once again, it will stay liquid if it's soaking in a Tupperware of warm water. It's kind of a light mixture. I like it. Now, I like using the Ziploc bag because, look at it, forces it to go straight. And even after Sinew backing this bow, you can see that, where is it? That the fibers are not rat's nested. And again, they're slippery. And I sized the bow a little bit. I mean, it's not as critical as the backing, so I just dipped my finger in that weak mixture and just kind of planned where I was going to put the wrapping, either side and in the center, not the whole way. Not necessary. It's going to be covered up with the handle wrap. And, you know, wait a few minutes and just wrap away. Now, I could make these smooth, not by sanding, but just strips of, like a trash bag or strips of plastic. Once I get this, wrap it with that so it retards the drying. Sometimes I say retards the slowing, that's redundant. And pushes it down. No need to sand. Not a fan of sanding Sinew. Except in the case of the tips where you want the string to be able to slide if you've got like a 2-loop string. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to tip this a little bit so you can watch the action while I talk. A few of these. I'm going to finish this one up. I just reach into my baggie and this is funny. You know, these things have been soaking basically for days, so they're as compliant with no hard edges or ends. You know, it's like the stuff you trim from meat. Isn't that obvious? It is. And I'm just going to go over that. And again, this is going to be under the handle, so it doesn't need to be super pretty. And then, what is super pretty anyway? You want super pretty and perfect? Get a fiberglass bow, Pippi Longstockings. One small one to balance it off on this side, and then I'm going to go to the center. Oh, this is difficult stuff. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, as I sometimes do, about when I started out, and I'd make a bow and it would break, because I didn't have YouTube back then. We communicated with telegraph. But, oh my gosh, almost every single one of those bows, if I Sinew backed it, even with kind of a sloppy job as a neophyte, that's Latin for beginner, they would have been bows. Okay. Good enough. That's how we operate here. Nah, just kidding. Grab another one. Slides right out without rat's nesting this. Start right there. John in action. Heck, you can't buy this kind of entertainment. I'll tell you what. This is so easy using this way. No double boiler. I could be sitting under an oak tree. Oh, that's kind of probably not hygienic. Good enough, as they say in France. You could be sitting under an oak tree, near the river. It could be anywhere. Shade, in the shade. Now this comes That's kind of an ugly one. I might even sand that because it's got that big ugly end on it. But we'll see how it dries down. There's a pretty one. The void's in the sinew, not full of just water, keeping the glue out, but imbued with a gluey mixture. Okay. And when it dried down, it's not dry. If I was to take this bow, and I've seen it, and I can actually slide that entire bundle, that entire like line. There we go. I've actually taken a bow at this stage of drying, thought I'm going to start putting it in the sun to dry it down. Well, believe it or not, there's still enough hide glue in this that hasn't completely dried that it will weep through. You will get, like, as it compresses in the sun, if you don't wait long enough, compress down, it will liquefy the inner portion of that gluiness, and you'll see droplets of hide glue coming through the gaps. It's not good, so this needs to be in the shade, you know, for a week or so. Now I'm going to set that right there. Rinse my hands off, this is handy, in the warm water. Seal this off and set it on the ground because it's protected. Rinse my hands off because I'm going to touch some leather. Okay, handle wraps, leather handle wraps. There. I'm a guy, I don't need a towel. You go to the store and you buy tanned buckskin or something. This is actually thick. This is not tanned buckskin. This is tanned cowhide. That color, this color, that bright orange. This, which is more like brain tanned. And this. And of course, I could simulate this. Why not? I don't have any brain tan leather on me. Brain tan buckskin. This is probably split cowhide. But it closely matches it, and I could take in thickness, you know, it's a good thickness. Of course, it's not big enough. It's almost big enough for the handle wrap on this. But I could take it and I could smoke it to give it a brain tanned look. Then you've got the dark stuff. This actually makes a really good, this is buckskin and it's been dyed, a good handle wrap, this brown stuff. Where am I going with this? Want to have actual brain tan stuff. If you're going to the trouble and the massive expense, put this back in the water, of, because I might put another wrap on it or something to even it up when I'm not talking. Going to the expense and the time of making a bow like this, that's going to be pretty much authentic. You want an authentic kind of handle wrap. Now you could use cherry bark. They used barks. Probably rawhide, deer rawhide. But what if you want brain tan buckskin? Have you checked the prices? If you're like me, I've done that stuff before, but now I live in the city. And I don't know if the neighbors appreciate me having like a cauldron with stinky brain juice in the smoke wafting ever so gently throughout the neighborhood. Can do it on a smaller scale. You know, you're not going to make a teepee. You're not going to make buckskin clothing. You're just making handle wraps. Well, you can get section of dried deer rawhide, and you can egg tan it. I've egg tanned before. It's a very neat system if you're not doing it on a large scale. I just want some handle wraps. You know, breaking the grain and soaking it in the eggs. Not the whole egg. I'll let you research that on yourself. There's the yolks and then there's the whites. I'll let you figure out which one you use. And then, you know, once it's all broken, it's the grain, the egg tanned it, blah, 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 you can smoke it to give it that look. And that's pretty authentic. And you did it yourself on a smaller scale without having, like, you know, what it takes. You wind up becoming somewhat stinky to the outside world, to the civilians, you know, if you brain tan. But yeah, that's a thought. What are you going to use for your handle wraps? I am not going to take this bow and I'm not going to put the commercial orange stuff on it. I've used hickory bark before. Am I thinking the inner bark of hickory? I'm not going to take the time. But some things to think about. I'm done. Have a good one. Thank you for watching.